Marnie Miller-Moore, your worship associate for today. I have for you Words of Welcome for a Difficult Morning by Erica Hewitt. Whether you are here with us today because worshiping with us is part of your routine, or whether you feel like our country has been stopped in its tracks and it's impossible to return to normalcy, on this morning we gather to proclaim that we belong to one another and that others belong to us. Broken hearts are welcome here. Anxious spirits are welcome here. Minds whirring faster than an engine, uncertain what to think. Stubborn egos that sometimes trip us up, cementing us to our opinions. Fragile, shell-shocked souls. Say it with me. They are welcome here. As a liberal religious congregation, we have something more than fragile and far more powerful. We have our need to be together, our need to connect, and our need to make one another a little bit braver and wiser before returning to the service of life. Erica Hewitt. I'd like to ask you to please honor your pledges. Those of you who have not yet begun to contribute, please do so. We're counting on you. I'd like to also let you know that this is our last YouTube presentation. UUTC services will be offered via Zoom, starting with next Sunday. Please look for Debbie's letter with the instructions. We light this chalice, symbolic of the warmth of community and the brightness that love brings to the world, illuminating our search for justice, peace, and light that forces, that nurtures all living things here in our midst in this flame, so tiny and so significant. Deborah Falk. My opening words are very brief. I've taken them from, taken a quote from Tinashe Coates, who is an author. He has written Between the World and Me and The Water Dancer. I did not know then that this is what life is. Just when you master the geometry of one world, it slips away and suddenly, again, you are swarmed by strange shapes and impossible angles. Tinashe Coates. And now join with us as we sing Spirit of Life.
Come to me,
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. If there are joys and concerns, please express them at home. And you may also look in our Friday newsletter to see other joys and concerns from our parishioners. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. Our speaker today is Reverend Carole Yorke, who shares the comfort of her Port St. Lucie home with her 4 dogs. After becoming a credentialed Unitarian Universalist minister in 1998, Reverend Yorke diligently served the congregations of Florida for many years, including the Vero Beach UU Fellowship and here at the UUTC congregation. Following her retirement, Reverend Yorke has continued to demonstrate her love for Unitarian Universalist ideals by acting as guest preacher around the state of Florida. She has graciously consented to engage here with us today. Reverend Carole Yorke.
Good morning. You know, this year, 2020, has been rather extraordinary. January came and went. February had its 29 leap year days. March had 75 days. April had close to 150 days, and here we are in May, and we're working on a half a century. This global coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has forced people around the world to embrace this new normal in isolation. Aside from the very good that this does, with all the slogans about staying home and staying safe and keeping other people safe, it produces many problems for us. Fear and uncertainty have caused stress levels to surge, and more people than ever are experiencing the effects of loneliness, which makes it more important than ever to take care of our mental health, both communal and individual. A recent Washington Post ABC News poll showed 7 in 10 Americans citing the virus outbreak as a source of stress, and 1 in 3 saying that it has caused serious stress. Loneliness isn't just in your head. The feeling can have an impact on your physical well-being too. Even when we're not facing a global pandemic, social isolation can increase the risk of early death by as much as 26%, a Brigham Young University study found. Loneliness is related to many different emotions. It can tie into anxiety, depression, or even boredom. There could be tension in the body, or we could be more hungry than we usually get. I saw a sign that said, "If any of you see me after this is over, please tell me how skinny I look." But maybe we're more tired, lethargic, or maybe we have too much energy and feel restless. And oh my God, now that 25% or even 50% this week of the space in restaurants can be utilized, I'm sure they're going to be packed, lines out the door. Now, experts have shared their tips on how to cope with these uncertain times. And there are 6 I'm going to give you briefly. Number 1 is keep a normal routine as much as you can in your house. Focus on managing the things that you can control, like the times that you eat meals, and when you wake up, and when you go to sleep at night. And then planning an afternoon activity each day, like taking a walk, can help maintain a sense of normalcy. Number 2, stay active. Staying active does not mean that you have to suddenly work out every day if that wasn't something you did before the quarantine. However, when you are working and living and eating in the same place day after day, you're likely moving your body less than you would on a normal day. Taking a walk, stretching, doing yoga are simple ways to get your body moving at the same time you are socially distancing. If you're looking for something more challenging to get your blood pumping, there are tons of at-home workouts streaming for free right now. Okay, so all of this is well and good, but what about our friends and our families? How do we stay connected with friends and family? Even though we can't physically see all of our friends and family at the moment, there are many ways to socialize digitally. Scheduling a phone call or a video call with friends in the way you normally would schedule drinks or dinner can help reduce the feeling of loneliness. I, who have previously ignored the FaceTime app on my phone, discovered it with a doctor's appointment at my doctor's suggestion. And soon thereafter, I had conversations and visits with my niece in New Jersey and with her kids. Even the perception of social isolation activates the stress response, which we are all likely still experiencing at the moment. Connected virtually, finding comfort in knowing that you don't need to be alone, even if you are at home by yourself. Aside from phone calls and video chats, there are many creative ways you can connect with others, like, oh my God, sending a handwritten note. Remember how to do that? Joining a video app like House Party. I haven't joined that, so I don't know exactly what that's like, but I understand you can play games. And if you're not tired of it yet, use Zoom. Number 4 of our list, set boundaries. Our entire lives exist inside of our homes right now, although our doors are beginning to open. From work to household chores and childcare, we're doing it all in one place, which in itself can cause stress and confusion. It's important to first establish clear times for work and, if possible, in a separate part of the house, and then time for family and related household tasks. Aside from daily responsibilities, you should also clear time in your schedule for taking some me time, like reading or finally organizing that closet, which I will never do. But it helps shift your mindset back to the present, away from the stress. Number 5, create or engage in activities. Now is a good opportunity to learn something new. Watch movies or TV with positive messages. Take a virtual tour. Museums, National Geographic, they all have virtual tours right now. Write about your experience. Do some creative writing. Do some journaling. Draw or paint. Work on a home project. Play games wherever you can. You could also integrate fun, de-stressing activities into your day, like cuddling with a dog, or even a stuffed animal, or something that engages all 5 senses. Literally stop and smell the roses. Aromatherapy is a simple and proven way to reduce stress, and it smells great too. Time when you're eating your meals, really think about how it tastes and smells and how it feels in your mouth. Integrating a new structure for work and life along with many distressing activities can keep you on task, and it can keep you sane during this current environment. Meditate. The Buddha was asked one time, "What do you gain from meditation?" His response was, "Nothing. But I will tell you what I lose during meditation: anger, anxiety, depression, insecurity, fear of old age and death." I think the moral to that story is meditate. The pandemic may seem to be never-ending, but eventually we will be able to get back to somewhat of our regular lives. Your goals for yourself don't have to vanish. Set goals and spend time exploring ways to achieve them during this time. Refocusing on goals that you had pre-coronavirus or setting new goals will give you something else to look forward to. You could also create a list, a bucket list of things that you will be excited to do after isolation. I want to tell you about an experience that I'm having right now on, of all places, Facebook. Many of you know that I am a dog lover, specifically Pomeranians. Over the years, I've had 6, 5 at any one time, and now I have 4. I lost one a year ago to a stroke. 3 weeks ago on a Friday, I had to have my oldest put down. As those of you who have found yourself in similar situations know, this was not at all easy. But I belong to a group on Facebook called Love of Pomeranians. I posted my decision to this list, as well as on my regular news feed, and together I had more than 350 responses to my decision. People had seen the dog's pictures, and the people on the Pomeranian website had gotten to know me and all my dogs in some detail. The overwhelming support from them, most of whom in the group I've never met in person, but the support from them and my old friends helped me through that difficult decision. And while not pandemically related, there was much support and love and connection from all. And I can only say thank you. So how important is connecting, not only through this pandemic, but for some people, loneliness did not hit just because of this virus. Some folks have been lonely for a long, long time. Loneliness is not only the physical absence of other people. It is the sense that you're not sharing anything that matters with anyone else. I know this is really difficult right now, but it is temporary, and this is going to pass, and we will go back to our lives, however changed. Okay, but how? I heard a sermon from Scott Alexander in Vero Beach a couple of weeks ago, where he talked about purposeful adaptation and resilience, bouncing back from those life events that try to squeeze us to death. And I want to share with you one other bit also from Scott Alexander, from a sermon that I heard him preach 15 or 20 years ago. In order to be able to have this resilience, in order to be able to have right relations, caring relations, and depth relations with ourselves and with others, with the culture and with the whole of creation, we must build or expand upon an interior architecture that allows us to foster those relationships. Isn't that an interesting image? An interior architecture that allows us to foster those relationships. That interior architecture comes from what we call our own spiritual development. Surely, this period of social isolation can lend itself to our own spiritual growth. And this is what we do in this Unitarian Universalist community when we're able to gather. And at least for now, close by. And we can maintain the relationships we have with others. Phone calls to each other just to check in. YouTube and now Zoom worship services and meetings. Conversation with friends and family, however we can manage. And I suggest to you that it is so important to try to manage that. It's the maintenance of those relationships that will get us all through this difficult period. Don't be afraid. Take each other's hands virtually. You are not alone. Blessed be. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Yorke. And in closing, we extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again.